screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Yes, we are able to
Okay.
see.
Sure. And you are now able to see it in full screen mode also, right?
Yes. Yes, we are able to.
And how do I get rid of this? Um, there used to be, yeah, hide floating. Yeah. Now I think it is good, right?
Yes, Anshuman, it's
Yeah.
good.
Okay. So I have been pondering over this topic for quite some time because I was kind of trying out different um AI tools, and then in the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking like how generative AI and AI as such, and especially generative AI, is going to impact uh, the standard job description of um, the so-called let's say the facilitators in the whole process. So by facilitator, I was just not referring to the Scrum Masters, the traditional facilitators, but as Agile tells us, there are primarily two roles: the chickens and the pigs, right? So basically, I was pondering about how the role of the pigs are going to change with AI becoming, let's say, mainstream, and everyone trying to, let's say, improvise their process by leveraging AI, right? Uh, so uh, now to kind of in a nutshell, if you want to kind of see the different roles which were there, the oversight roles, we had the Scrum Master role. We have uh, these different managerial roles, and it is again organization specific or company specific. Many companies have or used to have individuals who were specialists in each of these uh, different roles or designations, as we might call, and some of them as part of those transformation journeys. Some organizations, they kind of consolidated some of the roles. Example being, uh, many project managers were kind of expected to play the role of the Scrum Master plus project manager plus delivery managers, right? And sometimes people expect the product managers to kind of even own the program management roles and responsibilities. But each of these different roles, which traditionally we have seen, they had a primary area of responsibility. The focus area was specific to measure the let's say the performance of that particular role. The success metrics were quite kind of pretty standard, and then there were key stakeholders that each of these roles was interacting with, right? This is uh, kind of a summary of what we have uh, seen as a industry, or as a function, IT as a function within business. Uh, right. So this, uh, now this has traditionally been there until the advent of AI as such, and more with generative AI, that the investments that are going, especially this year, and the roadmap that we see in the coming days. Uh, some, let's say, tweaks or some uh, let's say behavioral changes, or some sort of, let's say, deliverable expectations are kind of changing. And I thought I'll kind of take this opportunity to kind of share my perspective, my 2 cents on this particular topic. um, Yeah. Now, typically, when we see this product management hierarchy, right, um, we have roughly about 7, 8 hierarchy in the product management function, and each of these folks at different uh, level of their maturity, they were expected to perform certain let's say responsibilities. Starting with the APM role, it is the standard entry level role, right? Which we tend to take these straight out of college, maybe MBA grads, or even the current day uh, uh, technology grads who have some sort of expert, let's say, exposure to let's say conceptualizing products, and then keeping the let's say process, the technology and the people fabric in place. Uh, so these guys are expected to do the data crunching. They are expected to do user research, and they should be able to write some sort of, let's say, specs. Uh, and then they graduate to becoming a product manager, who kind of does the heavy lifting for the given product. The success and the failure of the product, the onus lies with the product manager. Eventually, everyone is um responsible for ensuring that. But then, uh, traditionally, what I've seen is the product manager is made accountable for the success and the failure of a given product. As people kind of are getting mature, they tend to graduate to becoming senior product managers, and typically people spend quite an amount of time in this particular senior role. And when you are kind of ready with the skill set and the ammunitions to kind of lead teams, that's when you are interested to lead a certain set of folks, or you are expected to let's say manage a portfolio of initiatives, or a portfolio of maybe related products within a given portfolio, right? And from this standpoint starts the people angle of it, in the sense that the organization should expect you to be having more leadership traits than the individual contributor traits from this point onwards. And then you typically tend to climb the ladder by taking more, let's say, strategic roles. Initially, you were in the APM, PM, and the senior PM roles. You were mostly doing operational and maybe some amount of tactical works, and uh, probably a little bit less of the strategy work. But as you kind of move up the ladder in the director, VP, and the CPO roles, people are expecting you to do more of strategy work. People are expecting you to do more of, let's say, uh, uh, let's say reorientation work, uh, as kind of the market is changing for your industry. Your products have to kind of adapt to the changing market needs, and hence people expect you to be doing more of the strategy work, right? And hence, uh, what is more now to be thought about is agile as a process was kind of the standard process for probably last whatever 10, 15, 20 years now, right? uh, but now that our specs are being generated by the AI tools, our code is being written by the AI tools, which means that you prompt and the code comes right in front of your eyes. And sometimes even the code that comes is also self-healing, in the sense that, okay, there were 5 uh, issues which were there, and then the AI is asking you, oh, shall I go ahead and fix this? And you're telling yes. Then kinds of fixes to some extent. Still, there are issues in terms of the hallucination that you see in those vibe coding or AI generated outputs. Now, does that the standard cadence still holds true that we used to, let's say, have sprint planning, then we used to have, let's say, those daily checkpoints, then the story point estimations that you used to do that, okay, this particular amount of work is going to take, obviously, many organizations would have moved to the story point estimation techniques, but those story points were also arrived at when we were kind of comparing one, let's say, story vis-a-vis an atomic story, and then we were kind of factoring in the complexity, the dependency, the and all those the factors we were kind of taking into consideration while doing those estimations. Does those estimation techniques still holds true? Are some of the questions that are some of the things that I think one should again uh, think through it as a agile practitioner, and see what all tweaks are required in our, let's say, uh, mindset and the behavioral traits that everyone is expecting around us, and maybe the deliverables that is being expected. How do we ensure that no one questions, okay, the productivity of a product manager or the productivity of a scrum master, and on all the roles that I kind of mentioned earlier, right? Now moving to the next. So uh, these two different functions, I've seen companies that have a product management function. Uh, Traditionally, the product companies or all the new GCCs that have kind of set up in India, wherein they are trying to again have a hybrid approach where they get some things done from their outsource vendors, and they still have some core things that they want to do in-house, and they have set up a product management function which kind of is the face of the business from, let's say, an offshore standpoint. I don't know whether I should still be using the term offshore, but for the sake of, let's say, understanding, I'm still using that. uh, and then you have the process guys, or the guys who kind of own these multi-year, let's say, the initiatives that are spanning across multiple teams. Um and there is a clear-cut expectation from each of these two functions. Some of the organizations, they have some sort of overlap wherein people are designated in one way and they are doing the role, or they are playing the role of the other person. So there are all these permutation combinations which are kind of in play. Uh, but then when you kind of play both the roles, then you understand the pain points or the mindset and the let's say the expectations of the stakeholders for your given role, right? Uh, but with respect to the end goal, with respect to the core responsibility, with respect to the metrics that will be used to kind of track the success of a given role as well as the person in that role, right? And who that person works with, and what does success look like. So there is a clear cut demarcation in both of these roles, right? Now, how I see going ahead, the product management role is going to, let's say, change, or maybe some sort of tweaks are required to happen is, I mean, we as product managers, it is just not our responsibility to write the specifications or to write the PRDs. I think uh, uh, one can leverage the generative AI tools to kind of um, write those specifications, right? And sometimes when you as a human being is kind of bogged down with all the other worries which are there, both internally as well as externally, right? Both internally, um uh, within your function, within, let's say, your life as such, and outside your life. And lot of time, moods, they drive our thought process, our chain of thinking, right? And sometimes we might be bogged down. But I think at that point of time, um, the product managers can kind of think that, okay, why now I'm stressed out, but still I have to deliver this piece. Can I be more productive by leveraging the generative AI tools, right? Then most of the product management discovery process that used to happen, right? What to build uh, is one aspect, and there could be a laundry list of things which your stakeholders might expect. But with the resources that you have, you can only build X amount of things. So prioritizing those, and to prioritize those, we traditionally used to rely on a lot of data collection mechanisms, right? We used to rely on surveys, we used to rely on feedback loops, right? Which was which we used to take quite an amount of time when we used to, let's say, send out those surveys and send multiple reminders to those stakeholders to kind of fill those surveys, and then again sitting together to kind of again dissect the data, arrive at, let's say, some central numbers, and then digging deeper to that data to kind of ascribe those qualitative information, or the qualitative parameters to the kind of insights that we were trying to gather through those surveys and feedback loops, right? I think one can think about integrating more of these uh, uh, generative AI tools, uh, wherein one could get the feedback, or the feedback loops uh, cycle itself could be reduced, right? Uh, the let's say discovery of the insight to the action on that insight, that whole cycle could be reduced. And instead of relying on your gut feeling or static data, right? Uh, Maybe one can think about uh, using or leveraging these new set of AI tools which are there into the whole process, so that if a given feature will not work, whatever you do, it will not work. So the whole funda of, let's say, failing fast, learning fast, and doubling down on those things which are actually working. I think that kind of a mindset can be inculcated by leveraging all these AI driven tools which are there in the market, right? Now, with respect to the role of the Scrum Master, traditionally we have expected the Scrum Master to be the facilitator for a given team. We expected the Scrum Master to kind of remove the impediments, and we were measuring the folks to from a team's velocity, we were trying to, let's say, ascribe the performance of a given team with the velocity and the cycle times depending on which process the teams were on, right? Now, is where the expectations, I think those will still be the expectations. But what would be more expected is in this age of generative AI, wherein given a prompt, the machine itself is generating the output. So for development projects, the expectations could be higher velocity, right, and lesser cycle time for those development projects. For maintenance kind of projects, wherein the human expertise is still required because the machine may not have been trained on the system specific data, and hence the machine might not be able to recommend instantaneous outputs, which we are seeing from these generative AI platforms. Here, the expectation would still be like, okay, whatever manually these Scrum Masters were doing, can they still use these bots? Can the team know every now and then what things are, let's say, how things are progressing, what things are breaking, and what things are failing, so that the impact to the business in terms of the negative impact, like any system downtime or the negative impacts which are traditionally there when things do not go the right way in systems, that reflects in your especially the ordering systems. And typically your ordering systems are the source of truth in any transactional system, be it in retail or e-commerce or healthcare or any of those industry domains, right? So the expectation here would be, can the folks use more of these bots? Can they automate a lot of these manual processes? Because right now, as an industry, what we are seeing is everyone is trying to do more with similar or lesser budgets. And if that is the case, then obviously the expectation should be that how do we still make our whatever product managers and scrum masters and program managers and delivery managers and project managers and what kind of managers could be there in different organizations to be more, let's say, uh, contributing to the business success and contributing more effectively, which means that they have to kind of wherever there is an opportunity to kind of introduce these new generation tools, they should not miss that opportunity, and still that role of let's say continuous innovation and improvement, the inspect and the adapt philosophy that we had in Agile. I think still those philosophies and the values and the principles still are intact. But then one has to see or one has to uh, figure out or be more creative in applying those stuff in the new context. So yeah, now both of these roles are be expected to understand these data pipelines. They would be expected to differentiate between good AI and bad AI, right? Because if you train any AI on skewed data or let's say data that is biased towards certain aspects of the human thought process, then obviously the machine is going to throw some more junk, and it is the bias of the machine will be more than the bias of human beings, right? Which means that both of these roles are expected to be more technical. They would be expected to be more technical going ahead. They would be expected to know or get their hands dirty in these new set of tools. And as we talk every day, the new set of tools are coming that are uh, uh, kind of mushrooming in different layers of the architecture, be it the design layer, or be it the backend, or be it the front end, or be it mainframe systems, blah blah. All of those different, uh, let's say, alphabet soups that we have in the technology industry. Every day, new set of AI tools are kind of mushrooming. Uh, but then there are some thumb rules which are there, which kind of guides the overall decision making and uh, overall thought process in different functions of the IT, let's say, department. But then both of these roles would be expected to learn and get their hands dirty in new generation of AI tools. The way developers and the the testers and other set of folks are expected to learn and upskill, right? Uh, Now, finally, this has been the traditional focus for the different roles, be it a program manager or a product manager or a, like, whatever, uh, let's say, the term that I used in the beginning, the facilitator roles, or the pigs in the so-called agile world, right? Uh, the traditional focus is there. Obviously, that is already expected from your leadership. But in the AI era, they will expect a bit of more. And this kind of summarizes at different level what kind of expectations would be there. So the expectations from a chief product officer would be to kind of define the vision, own that vision, and ensuring that vision is futuristic. That's where the organization's products and services are supposed to be, let's say, innovated around, right? Uh, the organization would be expecting you to learn the regulations, because there are a lot of regulations that are coming uh, across different geographies, across different markets, and one has to be kind of, uh, one has to adapt and and define the roadmap uh, based on the changing regulations. And similarly, as we kind of move down the ladder, the expectations would be in tandem with the level in which you are kind of engaging with the people, process, and the technology aspects in your organization. So, yeah, with this, I kind of conclude my monologue. I would open the floor for some Q&A, and then I would love to be connected with the people in this particular group in the coming years.
Hi, Ansuman. This is Venkatesh. So who can become as a product manager, or how to become, in the sense, I'm an MCA. So nowadays everybody can become a Scrum Master, but to become a product manager, do I have to have any management background like PGDM or MBA, or I can join the product management group?
Very good question. See, product management, traditionally, if you see the Venn diagram of product management, it used to expect that you have some amount of business knowledge, some amount of engineering skills, and some amount of, let's say, design skill set, right? So business, then engineering, and design. That was the expectation, right? So obviously, when someone has taken the pain of learning business, leaving everything and going to a business school to learn marketing, to learn human resource management, to learn operations, to learn finance, to learn accounting, to learn whatever, all the facets of management. Obviously, the preference would be to kind of get those kind of guys because they have some amount of business understanding. Because eventually, whatever systemic changes we are doing in the products, that needs to have some amount of business justification, that needs to have a business case behind that initiative, and so on and so forth. Obviously, right? Now, with respect to the second angle of engineering, so traditionally, engineers or MCAs have had the luxury of having a deeper understanding of the engineering processes, then the challenges which are there in the engineering processes, both in terms of, let's say, understanding technology, benchmarking technology, and then, let's say, defining the architecture in such a way that now it is relevant, and in the nearistic future it will be relevant, and then defining it in such a way that you are able to still able to let's say be flexible, and your system is interoperably working with other systems, because not I mean, every system that we kind of build are expected to work with multiple systems, right? And hence MCAs were traditionally expected to be very good in engineering. But then there has always been a debate of engineering complexity versus design simplicity, um, which means that you might be very good at in engineering, but are you able to appreciate the user pain points, and are you able to solve it in the simplest possible manner that the user is expecting? I think mastering all these skill set, it requires some amount of experience. And what I see is, once people they graduate to a certain level of experience in their given function itself, or in their given chosen path, they tend to find it a bit difficult to do the heavy lifting or to do the nuts and bolts work in the other functions. Having said that, as long as there is an element of curiosity, right, and there is an element of willingness to learn, I think it's a matter of time wherein you try your luck both within the current organization and internally and externally, as I tend to tell, and try to gain the skill set that is there in the other two verticals. And then it's a matter of time when some noble gentleman or lady in the organization is kind enough to give that opportunity. And once you have that opportunity, once you have that designation, then you kind of climb up the ladder. I'm not sure whether I answered your question, but that is my take on it.
Yes, and the design thinking is not either engineering nor any business oriented. So, what is your thought about that? Do we need to have design thinking concepts as well?
So design thinking as such, right? It is about, let's say, putting the users at the core, and maybe finding a common denominator among that set of users, and then uh, let's say uh, defining the stuff in such a manner that the adoption of whatever you are trying to engineer is there. Like, if you develop stuff which you and it might be the most let's say sophisticated and complicated engineered product in the market, but then if the users are finding it not, let's say, whatever, it might not be affordable, or it may not be usable, or it may not be, I mean, there could be n number of things that could go wrong. So design thinking is about running your horses in your mind to kind of define this stuff in such a manner and ensuring that you are still following that agile principle. You remember that agile principle of agility is about maximizing the amount of work not done, which means that agility is about simplifying to such a level that users are finding. I mean, everyone with so-called common sense is able to use the stuff in which it was supposed to be used. So design thinking is about all those, let's say, possibilities which are there, and then let's say iterating and then experimenting with all those possibilities, and then doubling down on those things which are working, and then reducing those things which are not working. Right. So that takes a quite a amount of experience and then experimentation that needs to happen, and then one has to be let's say prepared to run those experiments.
Yeah, thanks, Ansuman, for the nice explanation, and thanks, Venkatesh. Um, Thanks for your great session on how we can move around the roles and how we need to upskill ourselves. In the interest of time, I believe we need to give it to Rajarshi Arjun, who will be taking a session on AI agile and some voice bot agent, which he is going to take us through. So I'm handing it over to Rajarshi Arjun. Thanks, Anshuman, for your great session. And if
Thank you,
anyone
sir.
still has any questions, please reach out to him offline so that your questions will be answered. Rajarshi, it's all yours.
Yeah, thanks, Sharath. So may I share my screen and then we can get started?
Yes, please.
Okay. So let me share my screen, and I hope I'm audible also.
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, my screen is visible, right?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. So what I would do is, this session is going to be a lot of demos. I mean, the entire session is going to be, a fully demo-oriented session. So we would, start off straight away. I'll first of all tell you what are the use cases that I'm going to show, and then we will get into the demo. Okay, but before that, this is me. My name is Rajarshi Arjun. I'm a practicing agile coach. Currently I'm based out of Stockholm and working in a company called Straton. Okay, so our company basically develops driverless buses and trucks. So I'm basically coaching the R&D organization over there in as part of the agile ways of working, and there is a lot of changes that are going on, and I'm a part of that setup. Yeah. So and then as part of my continuous learning, I keep on learning new stuff and did some certifications and stuff like that. So I'm not going through those at this point of time, but you can see that list over here, right? And by the way, I also deliver trainings as well. Okay. Now the point that we want to discuss today is about the agile use cases, and there would be 4 use cases that I'm going to typically walk you through, right? And these are very simple use cases that we are going to see how can AI actually help us, right? And then I would conclude the session with showing you a AI voice agent also, right? And of course I have uh, created this, like it's like an AI, I would say like a AI agile voice agent, if I have to put it that way. Okay, so what we would do is we would start off with each of these use cases, and then at the end I would take your questions. So in order to do the first use case, and I have all the slides over here which actually talks about what these use cases are, and these slides would be shared with you, so I'm not running you through the slides, right? I'll straight away go into the demo. So what we would do is we would basically create a product description, and then from the product description I would show you how, user stories can be directly created into an ALM tool. So the ALM tool that I'm going to use for this demo is going to be Jira. So this is a prompt which is basically, uh, asking the person to act as a expert product or manager, and we would be giving a URL of a company, and it would be, looking into the product portfolio of the company and coming up with a innovative product that can basically create a competitive edge over their competitors, right? So it's going to create a product description document, and let's see from there, uh, what happens. Okay. So this is my ChatGPT instance over here, and I'm just going to type this prompt, and let's see what it's going to ask me. First of all, about the URL of the company that you want to consider. So I'm here. Basically, I can give my company's name now over here. Sorry. Okay. So it's going to look at this website and then scan and find out okay, what products can be built, and it's going to come up with a innovative product. So you see over here, it comes up with a product name called as Intelligent Charging Ecosystem for Commercial Electric Vehicles. Okay, and then it talks about what are the customer segments, problem statements that this product is likely to address. Okay, what could be the proposed solution for this? What could be the key benefits for this product? And how this product can basically give a competitive edge over the over the competitors, right? And what could be the business impact of this product, and then how do you make this product operational, or how do you make it go to the market, right? So what I would do now is I would ask the chat GPT to give me a downloadable document, okay, of this. So can you give me a downloadable Word document for this? So let's look at that, and it should create a downloadable document for me. So this takes a little bit of time, but it's going to happen. So here you are. Okay, the document is, I would download this over here, and you see, this is the document that it comes up with. Okay. So what we would do now is we would take this document as is. Okay, we'll just take this document as is, and yeah, so it's a small document of 3 pages. And then what I would do is I would go to the Google folder and create a Google document over here. Okay. And I'm going to paste this content over here, and I'm going to, give a name to this document. And what is the name of the product it has come up with? Say intelligent charging ecosystem. So for commercial electric vehicles. So let's give a name like IC charging system. Okay. IC charging system. And yeah, so that's what the document is all about. And so my document is now over here in this Google folder. So now let's see, like, how can we use AI to basically generate the user stories from this product description document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an integration platform called as Make. Okay, and I have a couple of scenarios over here which actually does the work, right? So I'm going to use this first scenario, and you would see that my backlog over here. I have an empty backlog. I have nothing in this Jira project. Okay. So ideally, when I run that scenario, the backlog should get populated with a couple of stories. Okay. So let's look at that. So what I will do is I would go and find out the file which has been created. So at this point of time, I'm just choosing the file manually, the IC charging system. I'm going to save this file here, and I'm going to run this script. Okay, before I run the script, let me tell you what exactly is going to happen. So the file is going to be scanned. Then we have a ChatGPT module over here, which is basically going to, read the document, create user stories, and then the user stories would be written in a JSON format. Now I cannot, just pass a JSON file directly into Jira, right? So I need to kind of, parse it. And then after the parsing is done, right, it would be uploaded in a Google Sheet, and from there automatically it's going to get populated into my Jira project. So that's the the workflow. So let's do that, and uh, start the script. And this script basically runs on the background. Okay, at this point of time, I have configured it as to run on demand. Right? Obviously, you will not user stories every 10 minutes, right? So let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so you see the icons are getting activated one by one. Now ChatGPT module is working, and then you see the stories are going to get created over here. So you see I have configured it for the demo purpose for 5 user stories. Okay, you can configure as many number of stories you want, right? For the demo purpose, I have just configured it to 5 user stories. Now, if I go and refresh the screen over here, you should be able to see 5 user stories have been created. You see that? Right? I mean, if you open the, if, uh, can you hear me, guys? My internet connection looks to be a little bit unstable. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Quick
you're able to.
confirmation,
Yes,
please.
Rajarshi,
Yeah,
we
we
are
can.
able to hear you.
Okay. Okay. So if you look at this story now, right? I mean, if you open it, you'll see it has actually also given you a detail of the story that, and it writes it in the way we expect it to write. Like as a user, I want to do this so that this is the benefit, right? So as a fleet manager, so it has identified the persona also. Okay, I want the system to automatically optimize charging schedules and so on and so forth. Okay, so each and every story has been basically created over here. Okay, so this is one use case, and you see it saves you a lot of time, right? And I'll tell you where the human element also comes in. I mean, looking at this demo, you might say that where is my involvement as a product owner, or where is my involvement as a designer, right? I'll show you that also where the human involvement comes in. So now let's do one thing. Okay, so this was the first use case. Now let's look at the second use case. Okay, we have a user story now. Now we need to refine that story, right? So refinement means what? It could mean a lot of things. You need to estimate that story. You need to probably break that story even into some smaller stories, right? So there could be, I mean, a lot of things that you want to do as part of the refinement. In this demo, what I'm going to show you is how do you generate acceptance criteria as part of the refinement, right? So I'll show you that now, right? So for that, what I'm doing is I will just drag a couple, a couple of stories from here. Sorry, I'll just drag a couple of stories into my sprint backlog. Okay, I'm just dragging. Let me drag 3 stories. Okay. Okay, and I go to my my sprint backlog over here. Now look at the workflow that I have set up. Okay, so what I'm saying is that the first step is going to be where AI is going to basically uh, generate some acceptance criteria for me. Okay, AI is going to generate some acceptance criteria for me, right? And then once the criteria is, the acceptance criteria is generated, then automatically the story is going to transition to the team state. So this is where the human involvement is going to come. Okay. So first, let's see what kind of an acceptance criteria does AI generate for us. Okay. And for that, what I will do is I would go to this scenario over here. I think most likely it is this scenario. Yeah, most likely it is this scenario. So here you see it's going to get triggered immediately as the data arrives. Immediately as data arrives means the moment I transition this from the to-do state to the AI input for acceptance criteria, you will see, the acceptance criteria has got generated. Okay. And it should get populated into this field over here, acceptance criteria. At this point of time, you see there is nothing over here. Okay. So let's do that, right? Let's do one and then I'll show you. So I move this ticket here and I just, refresh the screen. And you see automatically it has moved to the team review. So now it's going to wait here for the team to kind of, do the review of the acceptance criteria that AI has generated. So let's see what acceptance criteria AI has generated. You see over here, it has generated the acceptance criteria in a given when then format, the Gherkin format, right? That's what I told you that I'm going to show you in my PPT. I mentioned that user story refinement by adding Gherkin formatted acceptance criteria. So you see it has generated 5 or 6 acceptance criteria over here, and all these acceptance criteria have been also tagged with a scenario in a given when then format. So here now it's going to wait for the teams to review it. Obviously, the teams might feel that they need to change certain acceptance criteria, or they might wish to delete some acceptance criteria, which they feel is not relevant, right? So this is where the human involvement actually comes in. So AI is going to basically help you to give you, it's going to help you to come up with some proposed criteria, but that doesn't mean that that's the right one, right? Because there could be some hallucination, there could be some biasness and stuff like that. So this is where you as a team can basically uh, make changes or add something and stuff like that. Okay, so this was another use case where within Jira, where you don't have to write a prompt, right? You just drag it from here to here, then this scenario is actually going to do the work for you.
So I have a question.
Yeah, let's take the question a little bit later. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so now the third criteria that I'm going to show you is about how do you create a user interface. Okay, okay, there could be some stories where you need to create some mock-ups or wireframes and stuff like that, right? And there is going to be a lot of interaction between the developer and the designer, right? So let me show you that use case now, right? And for that, what we are doing is, okay, we move this story from here to in progress. And then we are going to now say that AI review of or AI is going to generate the user interface. Okay. So let's do that now, right? So let me go back to my scenario over here. And most likely it is this scenario that is going to be, working. Okay. So is this the scenario? I don't think so. Just give me a second. One sec, because I have written here so many scenarios, right? Oh yeah, I think this is the one only. Yeah. So now this is a little bit tricky. Okay. This sometimes doesn't work, but I hope, this time it works. Okay. So here it's going to basically, uh, you know, uh, generate the UI interface for us. Okay. So what I will do is I will basically, I will run this on demand, right? Okay, let's do that. Okay. So it's AI review of the acceptance of the UI. So I'm putting it here and let's run it. So that you see you just look at the way, the GPT icon is working. So it's basically taking the user story as an input and it's now trying to come up, with a user interface. Okay. And that's where, and in this part, DALI is working. Okay. So the image generation is now happening. So you just follow this, this is going a little bit slow because image generation takes a little bit of time. And then it creates an HTTP request and it posts again back to the Jira platform. Okay. So if I refresh the screen now, you'll see it has moved over here from AI review to here. So this is where now the team is going to review what user interface it has come up with. And if you look at that, you should see there is a user interface that it has created over here. Now, I have done it at this point of time using DALI, but I'm also trying to set this up using Figma, right? Which then is going to give us a much more legible interface. But at least the integration works and it gives you a high level view of, okay, if I have to set up a user interface for this kind of a functionality, typically how it would look like. Okay, so this was another use case that I wanted to, basically show you all. Okay, does this sound interesting, guys? I mean, does it look interesting to all of you?
It is scary.
It
So
is.
how long I'm going to be in the job, I don't know.
No, we will be. We will be there the job anyways.
Yeah.
So another one, okay, and this one, when I did this use case, I actually got scared, right? I was not expecting that I would be able to do it, but when I did it, honestly speaking, I got scared. And that is about uh, it's about uh, a retrospective board, a live retrospective board, which was done in one of our teams, okay, in Triton, and it was done in a mural. And when I sent this retro board to Jira, to ChatGPT, it came up with some action items, which just by scanning this image, right, it generated some action items for us. Okay, so let me show that to you now. Okay. So let's do that. So yeah, so visual retro board integration. This is the scenario. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload. I'm going to ask, this scenario to basically look into this image and generate some action items for me. And these action items, by the way, you will see there is a separate board over here called as a retrospective action item board. It's going to get generated here only. So these guys now have the intelligence to also put labels and generate a unique section for the retro boards as well. Okay, so I'll just show you now this. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so here you see Google Cloud Vision is working. So it's basically scanning that image and then it's now generating, you see over here 1 2 3 4 some items it's going to generate. Okay, so it generates 11 action items for us. And if I go to the screen now over here and I do a refresh, this is what it shows. It comes up with very, very clear action items. Plan and execute a focus day dedicated to understanding team consumers and the needs to improve deliverable formatting and publishing. Okay, continue collaboration effort with Mats on the tool chain and common needs. Mats is one person who works with me, right? Then initiate discussions with Pedro. Pedro is my line manager regarding current blockers and potential resolutions. Okay. Develop a clear handover plan for consultants completing their assignments to ensure continuity. So plan and conduct a retro session with line managers to discuss topics outside team control. And none of these, action items were actually written in that image file. So what ChatGPT did was looked at the image, used its intelligence on the basis of the prompt that I've given, and it has come up with these suggested action items. So now you can imagine, right, that the level of intelligence that these, LLM models are kind of having. So, and it makes our lives easy as well, right? I mean, we know, okay, out of these action items, some of them may not be feasible, so we can, kind of discard them. Some we can take it forward, right? We might add something and so on and so forth. Okay, so these were some of the use cases that I wanted to show. Okay, and you might have a question, okay, related to the security of this tool and stuff like that. Now, let me tell you that that's a valid concern. That whether using a tool like Make and is it secured or not? But to the extent of whatever I've seen, they are GDPR compliant and they're also compliant with other major, AI acts across the world, right? So from that perspective, I think it's pretty safe to use it, right?
So I think there are some litigations that is there with OpenAI, especially with respect to the IPR things which are there in the media domain, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I mean, I'm not sure if it's a standard workflow or does this tool give the option to choose those AIs? Because organizations have policies which AI to use, which one not to use, and so on.
Yeah. So basically, this actually gives you the flexibility to choose a lot of LM tools, right? So whatever I've done is basically with OpenAI, but you can choose Claude, you can choose Perplexity, you can choose Google Gemini, whatever. I mean, you want. So the beauty about Make is that it has got a lot of, modules with which you can, integrate via APIs, right? So this is what I wanted to show you. The last use case I want to show you is about a voice agent, right? And I'm going to actually have a conversation with the AI voice agent now. And at the end of the call, right, the voice agent is going to schedule a call with the person whom I want to schedule, right? And then I'll ask that person, whether you have got a Google Calendar meet or a Google Calendar invite in your inbox. Okay, so let me take Sharad. Sharad, are you okay if I, use you as a reference, and then at the end of the conversation, there should be a email, a calendar invite that would go to your Gmail ID. Is that okay?
Yeah, Rajarshi, no issues.
Yeah, so let's try that. Okay. So I'm going to use my workbench, which is called as Retail AI, and I've written a prompt over here, which is, almost 14 pages. Okay, over here. And I've done the settings and stuff like that. I've configured it I've configured that with Make over here. And now let me try that out, okay? But before I try this out, I think I would need to get the voice enabled also in my computer so that you guys can hear my, the voice of the system. Okay. So can we start it now, guys? And I'm going to have a conversation, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so let's start. Okay, so this is my voice agent, and let's start it. Okay, I'll just run it for a few seconds, and I'll take your confirmation whether you're able to hear it or not. Okay, and then I will run the full script. Did you hear this, all of you?
No.
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 This, yeah. So this is what I wanted to, just to see whether you're able to hear it or not.
Maybe Rajarshi, you have to stop the sharing, reshare again with the audio tab on in the Zoom.
Okay. So. Okay. And then come to the audio over here. And is it like share computer sound, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Rajesh. When
Share
you're
computer
sharing the
sound on.
screen itself, you need to select that option.
So I'll just give it again a try, and then let's see whether.
Hello, this is Mike from AI Agility. How can I help you?
It sounds
You
better.
hear now?
We can hear.
I'm able to hear. Able to hear
Okay.
now.
So let's try the entire stuff now. Okay. How many of us are here? 34. Okay, fine.
Hello, this is Mike from AI Agility. How can I help you?
Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm doing good. Can you say hi to 34 people on the call over here?
Hi there, everyone. It's great to have a full house. How's everyone doing today?
I think they're doing good.
That's awesome to hear. So what can I help you all with today?
So we are a team which is actually looking into how AI can help us, in our agile ways of working.
That sounds like an exciting journey. AI can really bring a lot of value to agile practices. Could you tell me a bit more about your team, like what industry you're in and the size of your team?
We are a team of about 30 people, and we are working in the consulting domain.
Got it. 30 people in the consulting domain. Thanks for sharing that. What sparked your interest in exploring AI for your agile practices? Is there a specific challenge or goal you're aiming to tackle?
Well, this is the talk of the town now, and a lot of people are, asking us that how, or our customers are asking us how can AI complement, the agile ways of working.
Makes sense. Staying ahead of the curve and meeting client expectations. It's great that you're exploring this proactively. Are you looking for something specific like AI tools for project management, team collaboration, or maybe even predictive analytics?
Yeah, to start off, we would like to go with AI tools for team collaboration.
Great choice. AI tools for team collaboration can really streamline communication and boost productivity. Are you the decision maker for your team, or is there someone else involved in making the final call?
It is Sharad who is the decision maker.
Got it. No worries. Who on your team would be the decision maker for this?
Yeah, Sharath, Sharath.
Thanks for that. So Sharath is the decision maker. Would you like me to share more details with you, or should I connect directly with Sharath?
You can connect with me. I'm his assistant.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying. How did you hear about AI agility, by the way? Was it through LinkedIn and email or something else?
No, we heard it from LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, fantastic. It's great to know that's how we connected. What would success look like for your team if you were to implement AI tools for collaboration?
I think we would, see better customer satisfaction, faster time to market, and faster realization of, benefits.
That's a solid vision, better customer satisfaction, faster time to market, and quicker benefit realization. AI can definitely help with that. Would you like to schedule a consultation with Raj, our founder, to explore how we can tailor solutions for your team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Let's get that set up. Could you share your full name and email address so I can book the consultation for you?
Yeah. So it's Sharath, Sharath,
Thanks, Sharath. Could you also spell out your email address for me?
Yeah, it's ADSU1982 at gmail.com.
Got it, adsu1982 at gmail.com. Let me repeat that back to make sure. ADSU1982 at gmail.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
Great. What time zone are you in? And do you have a preferred date for the consultation?
So we are in the Central European time zone.
Thanks for that. Do you have a specific date in mind for the consultation, or should I find the earliest available time for you?
How does Mondays look?
Let me check the availability for next Monday for you. Next Monday, June 9th, we have availability between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Central European Summertime. What time works best for you?
10 a.m. in the morning works fine for us.
Got it. 10:00 a.m. next Monday, June 9th. Let me book that for you. Your consultation is all set for next Monday, June 9th at 10 a.m. Central European Summertime. If you have any other questions before then, feel free to reach out. Thanks, Sharath.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for your time, Sharath. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. So, Sharath, can you just confirm whether you have got an email, a Google Calendar Meet or something like that?
Yeah, I just now got an email.
You got an email, right?
Right.
And it should have come from my inbox. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now let me show you another thing. Okay, over here. So this entire conversation. Now imagine I want to have a conversation with Sharath, right? But I don't know what was the context of that call, right? So I want to know, okay, what was the discussion and stuff like that. So this entire conversation, I mean, we have done it in a way. This entire conversation has been. Let me share my screen again. Yeah. So this entire conversation has been recorded in a Google Sheet. And that sheet is over here. Inbound call log sheet, okay, over here. So these are two dummy calls that I had done, and this is the third call, okay. So you see the entire conversation is here. So, so when I enter into a conversation with Sharath on Monday, I know what is the context. The user representing a team of 30 people in the consulting domain expressed interest in exploring AI tools for team collaboration. Then successfully scheduled a consultation for Monday at 9th, so on and so forth. So this was what I wanted to show you all. I hope you all found it interesting. Now we can take some questions. Okay.
Yeah, coming to this, I have one question here. So, coming to the banking domains or healthcare domains, they're not ready to publish the data, their user stories or use cases in the tools like the make.com or something else, because that is not secured and that is not they won't believe that, right? The industries, the banking industry especially, and pharma industries.
Correct. Yeah. So this is more of a evolution, I would say, because make.com operates in cloud. I understand, banking sector and other sectors which are very security compliant, they might be a little bit skeptical. But we have other platforms like NA10, which actually works, in a desktop version as well, where data could be secured, right? So Make is not the only tool, but the intent of this call was the intent of this webinar was to show you the capabilities that AI has got and what we can do, to take it further from there.
Okay. But are there any enterprise version for Make?
Yes, there are enterprise versions of Make. So if you go to the make.com website, you would see there are different plans that they have got.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Rajarshi. I have a question, Ashutosh here.
Yeah, hi Ashutosh. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was hearing this conversation very carefully. Okay, and one thing which definitely came out of this, right? I mean, even in this conversation, the emotional angle is something which was missing, right? I mean, although yes, I mean, it would have created a meeting invite, it would have created an agenda item for the meeting. I found very minutely, I was observing this conversation you were having. That emotional angle was missing. I'll give an example. I'll give a very specific example. Nowadays, when we call to a call center, right? Even if I have one problem, right? The agent will revert back and tell me that, do you have anything else to have, or can I help you in any other way? So that piece was missing. Okay. So I was just wondering, right? Fine, we might be using these agents and all, but ultimately, obviously, the emotional angle is something which only human beings can bring into a situation, right? And even the earlier one, for that matter, action items, right? I mean, the way action items are written, I can make out what kind of a leadership style this person has, right? But with AI coming in, I think it is going to standardize it. It is going to make it uniform across the board. So I remember my earlier days when the mail used to come, from the way the mail was written, we could figure out what kind of a persona this manager is, right? Is he a theory X, theory Y? So definitely that still has got a long way to go, or probably AI will not be able to do that. So to the earlier question, right? Are we really afraid of AI? No, right? Was somewhere that emotional connect is still missing in these tools.
Well, if I get an opportunity to run that tool again, and I start the conversation by
Hmm.
asking this agent that before we enter into some serious conversation, can you tell me a joke, right? So it should actually be able to tell me a joke. So
Agreed.
maybe,
Agreed.
yeah.
Uh,
So maybe I was a little bit serious, and the agent also became a little bit serious, right?
Okay. I don't know if that was the case, because see, most of the times when we create a joke, right, it is based on the situation which has happened very recently. Like for example, if it is raining in Bangalore, I would say that, oh, you know what, it took 2 hours for me to reach my office, right? I mean, I would have reached probably Delhi in that time. I mean, that is how I will crack jokes on the scenario which is happening at that place. So again, AI will crack a joke, but it will again be coming it from its repository, what is there, right? It won't be contextual or situational to the place where I am.
Well, when I experimented this with some other uh, participants, then I started the conversation by saying that you tell me a joke, and it cracked an agile joke with me. Okay, so that was it. I mean,
Okay. Anyways, I think maybe in the interest of time, maybe we can connect offline one-on-one later, because my more concern was that the emotional element won't get replaced. I'm not a concern. I would say it's a positive thing that the emotional connect which we have, right?
I mean,
That.
see, we
Hmm.
human beings will never be. I mean, the machines or the agents will never be able to replace empathy, feelings, and
Hmm.
stuff like that, right? So that's where the human involvement is always going to be there, Ashutosh.
Hmm. Okay.
So just one thing, this Ketan here, just one thing to add in, maybe not more than 20 seconds here. There's a concept of anthropomorphism, which we all humans are going with the AI. What I mean here is that when we collaborate, we tend to collaborate with humanly touch to it. AI will have sentiments, not feelings. Humans have feelings, AI has sentiments. The difference is it's a reaction of whatever we are saying. So AI can have sentiment based on whatever it has predetermined sentimentary effects. So that's a difference always we're going to have, not as a humanly feeling that we normally share across. And that's where the concept of anthropomorphism is getting quite intense right now with the usage of AI. That's where the voice agent or AI agent, when they respond back, it's going to be more about sentiments, not feelings. So that's the difference. So just to add a point there.
Yeah, good point, Ketan. Yeah,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Ketan, for that. Yeah. I'll just research that word. Yeah.
Yeah. So, question from my end. So, I mean, great scenarios from that tool, the Make tool. But just curious to know whether they are already ready-made, in that particular tool, or do we have to do something to get those scenarios created? Because you're
No, nothing is
mentioning.
created. Nothing is readily available. All these scenarios that I demoed to you, I actually build those scenarios. Okay, So you need to, the way to do it is you first of all, take a pen and paper and just draw how the flow happens. And then you start, translating that in make.com.
Okay. So, I mean, do we need to write them in any coding language, Python, anything
No,
else?
this is a low code platform. So at the most you would be writing some JSON scripts,
Mhm.
and then you would need to have a JSON parser, which would parse it and put it in the right format for you.
Okay. Thanks. I mean, any sessions on how to do it would be more helpful, I guess, for most of us.
Yeah, I mean, if we can organize something, I can create some. I mean, we can do some basic sessions and show you some small use cases, give you some assignments to try out.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, that would be very grateful
Yeah.
for us.
So just one thing last, Rajashri, when we use a tool called a Zapier, it lowers down the amount of workflow that we have when we zap one or two applications together, right? Google Drive to Zap to Chat GPT and then to Jira in 3 steps. Like, have you tried that and any difference in the quality of the responses you might have incurred anywhere?
No, I haven't tried Zapier, but I'm now, working with N8N, and I'm going to do a comparison and contrast and see how good or bad the responses are, right?
Okay,
So
because
maybe,
one thing that I like the most is about the way it comes in Jira in the organized way. That was really fantastic to see that. The only thing is that if the prompt is having more about personas, I think we will have parent and child relationship also coming in Jira. That's what my view is, but maybe with Make you can correct me on that. With Zapier, we can do the same.
yeah, but I'm also trying to see, okay, how do you create? See, today what I did was I took product description and went directly into user stories, which is a little bit more tactical, right?
Mhm.
I'm trying to see, okay, how do you, okay, have OKRs, how do you have strategy, then connect it with, with epics and stuff like that, or initiatives, then epics, finally with user stories, and then, have a more end-to-end view. But that is possible, but in the, because of time constraints, I could not do all the scenarios. But now that I know how the tool works, right, I think I would be able to get these scenarios also sorted out.
Oh, that's fine. It was a lovely and fantastic session, Rajesh. Thanks for the learnings.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Rashi, just one question. The scenarios that you have created, you have used Google Drive, Jira in those workflows. So, did you integrated all these like Google Drive and Jira path into the Make tool?
It's
Because
all
when you run
integration
it,
is done. Yeah. So it's all the integrations have been done using APIs. Okay. So you just need to, get the Jira API exposed and then, integrate it. You need to get the Google APIs, in place and then, do the integration. So it is just a game of how do you, play and communicate with the APIs, and
got
a
it.
little bit of and a little bit of JSON scripting, of course, as I told you.
Yeah, got it, got it. Thanks, Raj. That was interesting, very interesting session.
Hi Raj, this is Vijay here,
Yeah.
and my question is, okay, this is whatever you've shown, it's which is really practiced in your organization, or you already started to do that. If some organizations not started yet, if we want to start exploring these kind of things, what is the starting point, or what you recommend us to usually play with?
See, the first thing is I would tell you to identify what would be the use cases that you are going to, you know, work with. So target the use cases first, and just targeting use cases is not enough, right? You also need to understand how these use cases are integrated with your existing or overall business process.
Okay.
Okay, so don't do things in an isolated way. Have a systemic view. Okay, and then take it into consideration. Okay, and make some whenever you do some experiments, you have some hypothesis in place that does this align with my company's strategy? How does success look like, right, for this?
Yep.
If you remember when I showed you that voice agent, right? I mean, when I demoed the voice agent, I actually, when I wrote the prompt, I specifically put that comment in the prompt that you should ask this question to the user, that how does success look like to you?
Yep.
So think about the use cases, think about the end benefits, and most important is that think about the big picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for that.
Right. Thanks, Rajarshi, for one of the great sessions that we have till date. Any other questions from anyone?
Rajarshi, can we integrate? See, we have created user stories, and there will be dependencies between user stories. So this tool will take care of the dependencies as well.
Try it out. I mean, I haven't done that, but I have got already a list of my other use cases that I'm working on. Dependencies is one of them. So if I'm successful or I'm able to do that, definitely I can again come back with a session on this.
So my final question is, I am not sounding pessimistic, but using the tool, yes, we may save some time, more time as well. So this saving time, how the corporates are going to take care of it. See,
Yeah,
I
so
can say very
I think
great
that's
UI
so
created.
that's a very interesting question you raised. In fact, I had a slide on that. If let me show you this. So whenever you have these kind of things, try to create a matrix of this sort. Okay, that what was the efforts you saved, what was the efforts you had before versus what are the efforts that you have saved after putting things to AI. Now, of course, putting things to AI means there are certain things you are going to automate with AI. There are certain things that you are going to do. There are certain things that you are going to delegate to someone else, some of your team members to do. So I created this kind of a dashboard, okay, which might help you to present to your senior management that yeah, with AI, this is the kind of savings that we are seeing, and this is just for one deliverable, right? So the moment you scale it up, right, you can imagine the amount of efforts that you're going to save. So you can take a screenshot of this. This kind of a template might help you to kind of explain to your management the efforts that you're saving and showing where human involvement is happening, where AI is taking over. Does this help?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. In the interest of time, one last question from anyone. Otherwise, we can call it a day. All right. I think we are almost at the top of the hour. Thanks, Rajarshi, Arjun, and Ansuman for great sessions. As someone has requested, if we can have some practical sessions in future, yes, we'll keep that in mind and see how we can make it more practical. We'll come back on that. Okay. With this, now I think we can end the session. Once again, thanks Rajarshi and thanks Ansuman for the great session. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys as well for arranging this one. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Have a great day.